nutrition, they've nailed all the essentials. What are some things that you're asking them to look into while they are on their days off?
Yeah. So we don't get days off. We have days where we're going to be asked to perform in the sport, and there's days we're not. But again, at the professional level, you are by definition a professional, and it's just a matter of, where we are kind of in the calendar year. But I would say for us, we really break recovery into two different domains. There's the ones that you can self-control. So for instance, sleep, own the night. As simple as get an Aura ring. Tell me how many times you crowned on your sleep score in the month. Try to get at least 10 or 15 of those days where you've controlled the environment, you've made the commitment, and you've actually gotten the sleep. So that's super simple. The other one, you mentioned the food. We know food. Nobody argues with it. It's pretty straightforward. Food becomes a problem with logistics. So especially on the road, I want to know, not that your nutrition's dialed in when you're at home, but on a 14-day road trip, you're a 200-pound athlete, 14 times, 200 grams of protein. Where did you get that? How did you get it? Do you think the team's just going to give that to you? What's your plan? And then how are you going to spread it out? And you got to deal with time zone change. So we talk a lot about those, kind of owning those. And I think if you had to pick of the recovery kind of effect size, sleep and nutrition is massive. Those are the two that if you don't have that, everything else is just, eyewash. So make sure that those are on point, because that's really where the magic happens, especially during sleep. But it also needs the proper building blocks to be able to do the work. So that is something that we talk about, but then we're constantly working on. Now, once that's squared away, now we'll get into advanced stuff. So let's talk about getting massage. Let's talk about using float tanks. Let's start talking about PBM. Let's start looking at, all these different tools that are out there, but then also measure. So a good example is sauna. Everybody loves sauna. Sauna's great. I can tell you right now, there's individuals that have done sauna and it just kills their sleep because they were doing it at night. Well, we move that to the morning. Suddenly now it's not crushing their sleep, but they like it because it makes them feel good. So that's an example of where a recovery modality isn't just what the TikTok influencers say and everything like that. You have to really practice this stuff, tag it, and then learn for yourself. What is your battle rhythm? What do you need? If you're a pitcher and you have a high stress inning, so 18 plus pitches, and say you had 30, 40 pitches in a given inning, you know that over the next 24 hours, you need to approach that differently than if you had a super efficient outing that there really wasn't a problem. So I think that's really where recovery needs to be individualized, but that's where the education and then the application gets to the athlete. And my goal, I tell every athlete, my goal is to motivate you enough to do it, because it's going to make you money. It's going to, but they're a little hesitant because they're on the road. They don't see their family, but here I'm going to ask them to do a 1 hour float. They want to be at home, but understanding the implications for the home that you're trying to build, the life you're trying to build, the generational wealth you have in front of you. For now, you need to go to do that float, because we've seen these metrics go in the right direction, and you've mentioned that you've had better performances. So the goal is to figure out what is that optimal dose, both of the internal kind of stuff that they're doing within their control, but also with the advanced recovery tools that they may use on the road or when they're at home.
Yeah, I think the time-specific recovery is quite important as well. And I don't think it gets mentioned a lot, as some things are better done in the morning than nighttime.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and again, it comes in waves. Everybody's cold plunging. Well, sometimes that's not great. And then cold plunging turned into 55 degrees, turned into 40 degrees, turned into even colder. And then it's at what point are we being silly? And what are you doing it for other than the mental challenge? And I'm fine, too, if you tell me it's the mental challenge and that's going to motivate you to do these other things. But what we can't do is start doing that when in reality we should be going to see our physical therapist or our athletic trainer and actually doing stuff to, help our body because we're having some issues. So I think it's just about setting reasonable expectations and prioritizations, and realize throughout the course of a season, it's always moving. If you had to have a dashboard, again, there's too many of them right now, but if you did have one, your goal would be to figure out what should be the first thing I should focus on. And is it doing more, or is it doing, less, or is it actually applying more recovery? And just start thinking of recovery as like a workout.